Hello there everyone. My name is Robert Cunningham and I'm a Customer Compliance Manager at HMRC in Large Business in London. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to my home. We've all been working at home since the middle of March because of coronavirus, and it doesn't look like we're going back to the office anytime soon. So it's a great shame not to be there in person. And also I apologise now for the fact that this is the first time I've used technology like this to deliver any sort of training event. I've got the presentation up on my screen behind the camera, so I'm afraid you'll also see me looking up to make sure that I keep on track. I've been asked to talk to you in two sections. The first to talk about HMRC's overall approach to tax compliance, mainly for large corporates, and then to focus more specifically on how we go about risk working in the banking sector. So turning to slide 2, this just gives you a couple of lines about me. I haven't been with HMRC for very long. I joined in 2015. I started my career in tax as training as a chartered accountant with PwC in London, where I mainly did banking and asset management companies. After PwC, I had a number of roles in the commercial sector, and in particular, I was the global head of tax for the investment banking division of ABN AMRO Bank. One of the other roles that I have within HMRC, apart from my responsibilities as a customer compliance manager, is also that I led HMRC's response to the challenges facing everyone in respect of the UK's exit from the European Union across the financial sector for banks, asset managers and insurers. But anyway, as I said, the presentation is in two parts, and I'll be back with you at some point later. But first of all, HMRC's overall approach to customers. Our approach is very much focused on behaviours, both the behaviours of us as a tax authority and the behaviours of our customers. We aim as an organisation in HMRC always to act with the utmost integrity, to treat customers fairly and equally, and in order to do that we have a very extensive rule book which we make public so that people can hold us to account. Throughout this presentation I've included a number of hyperlinks so that if you wish you can get more detail on what I'm saying. But the need for us always to act impartially and to treat customers fairly does mean that we have a significant amount of internal process that govern the decisions that we make. And this is very important to us. One of the things that I found quite remarkable in joining HMRC from outside was just how much effort is involved in making sure that we do treat everyone consistently and we are seen to be as fair as possible. And one of the results of having this rule book available to the general public is that quite properly we can be held to account. And it's not unusual for taxpayers to take HMRC to court to ensure that we follow due process and that we're behaving appropriately. And indeed, I, as a CCM, am currently being taken to court by my customer because they feel that in one aspect of their tax affairs we haven't behaved reasonably. And that is a good thing because it makes it gives customers more confidence in the system, and it makes sure that we can demonstrate to the outside world that we are doing the right thing as far as we possibly can. The overall aim is to promote cooperative compliance. We're generally reluctant to use procedural methods to force a taxpayer's hand. We're not afraid to do that, but at the same time, as I'll come to talk about later, in particular with large companies, it's very much a cooperative relationship that we seek to foster. What we expect in return from taxpayers is that they file returns accurately and on time, and that they are transparent with us and they tell us the truth and the whole truth in order to agree their tax affairs. As I said, we will bear down relentlessly on tax evasion and tax avoidance, and one of the key metrics for HMRC is closing the tax gap. That is, minimising the difference between the expected amount of tax we can raise and the actual amount of cash that comes in the door. We publish a charter, and again the hyperlink is there, so that it's obvious to our customers what their responsibilities are, what their rights are, and what our responsibilities are towards them. Turning now to slide 5, we do have a significant amount of legislative backup to underpin our activities. One of the things that we use relatively commonly within HMRC is the power to issue information notices, which inspectors of tax, like myself, can send to any taxpayer to demand that they provide us with information. And there are penalties if they don't, and quite tight timelines for producing the information. We can also, in more serious cases, ask the courts to instruct taxpayers. In the banking sector, we mainly use this, not on the banks themselves, but on the bank's own customers, where we're seeking to establish the tax liabilities of individuals and small businesses. The senior accounting officer regime applies to all large companies in the UK. I think it's with a turnover of more than £250 million. And this requires a senior executive in the business, usually the CFO, to attest once a year that the company has the appropriate systems and processes in place in order to allow it to file accurate tax returns. This is taken very seriously by finance directors because they are personally liable for a fine of potentially up to £5,000, and more importantly, that they're likely to be named in the financial press if they are the CFO of a company that does not have the appropriate systems and processes. We've also relatively recently introduced the corporate criminal offence regime, and again, companies can face this time an unlimited fine if they're not able to demonstrate to us, if we challenge them, that they have appropriate systems and processes to ensure that they don't, in the course of their business, encourage criminal tax evasion. And that's particularly important for the banks because they need to be able to demonstrate to us that none of their customers, to their knowledge, is involved in tax evasion. We also in the UK sign up to the usual international measures such as country-by-country reporting, the Common Reporting Standard and FATCA, and at the moment we're going through the process of implementing DAC 6. And all of these international measures we also see as quite important, as integral to the efforts that HMRC undertakes to ensure that we know as much as possible about our customers and their tax affairs. Specifically on banking, we have something which we see as incredibly effective. This is the banking code, and it's again looking at the behavioural aspects of how a bank conducts its tax affairs. Essentially all banks in the UK have signed the code, and what this means is that they have adequate governance internally to ensure that they're only undertaking appropriate transactions, both on the bank's own account and in terms of what they're prepared to get involved with with their customers. That they won't undertake any tax planning that is contrary to the intentions of Parliament. And although that's a very grey term, essentially what it means is that what we're expecting banks to do is to act within the spirit as well as the letter of the law. They're also required to comply fully with all their tax obligations and, very importantly, maintain a transparent relationship with HMRC. Many banks also participate in another new initiative, which is the Counter-Fraud Banking Forum. And this is an initiative that joins up the regulators, HMRC, the National Crime Agency, and the banks themselves, where we all discuss and agree actions to counter all sorts of financial fraud and tax evasion. And again, it's a sign that of the generally very positive, cooperative and transparent relationship that we've managed to build with the banks, that they're very keen to be part of this forum and to support the work of HMRC. So thank you for listening to part one. I will come back later to talk about approaches to risking in the banking sector. Thank you.